Hey guys, this is Super Matt, and today is another Mobile Minute with Matt Kern and Friends. And today I have a wonderful man on the line with us on video, Dr. Jamie Wilson. He is our Denton ISD Superintendent. Good morning, Mr. Wilson. How are you today?
I'm great, Matt. Thanks for having me. Hope everybody's doing okay and you and yours are healthy and staying safe.
Yeah, we're all, my wife and I are both working from home. Daughter's doing her schoolwork, from home. That's been going on. We're all transitioning into becoming part-time teachers.
Right.
Yeah.
I know exactly what that feels like. Both of my daughters are a little older, but my oldest one is a third grade teacher in Louisville, and since she can't work in Denton, and watching her teach her children from home during part of the day, then watching her teach her parents from home the other part of the day has been an interesting transition for sure.
I bet it has. You get more respect, give more respect to people when you have to step into their shoes in whatever small way that is, to really see what our teachers go through each day and the questions and concerns that the students have, on there. So I commend you and everybody else for being, in that business. So Jamie,
well, thanks, Matt. We have some amazing people that are. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No. Yeah, y'all do have amazing people, and your people are growing, and I want to talk about that today too. So I've got some good questions for you. Are you ready to get started?
Right. Let's do it.
Okay. I think we just have a little bit of delay, in our internet. So my internet's a little bit slow, but I'll ask a question and then I'll be quiet and I'll let you answer as much as you can. Okay. Okay. So
no problem. We'll work it out.
So since the school year now is shut down for this year, what has been affected the most? Is it been person, place, or thing, right? And then what are the future ramifications of whatever's been affected the most?
So since we've moved to remote online learning, I think the biggest thing we've seen is just the veracity of our teachers and our parents, really the people coming together to help our students and to figure out what they need. Just this last Wednesday, we served over 80,000 meals in one day for our students in need and for our families to come by and pick those up. That's a week's worth of meals for our families and our kids. And so, we have the ability to have storage and to access commodities from our farmers and our Texas agriculture. So the school lunch program is a very meaningful way to keep some business going in our state. And our team has really stepped up. We have 18 different sites, and we even drove 22 different bus routes for food delivery, and until we've moved into this remote pickup where parents pull in, they pop the trunk of their car and we put the food in and they go. But the first day we served about 1,000 meals, and then to go to just over 80,000 this last Wednesday is quite an accomplishment all the way around. So a lot of good hard work there.
Now, when y'all first started that, Jamie, y'all were doing that 5 days a week, and then you had to move it to Wednesdays. Was that correct? Is that correct?
So when we first started, we didn't know how long we would be out. So we had to do it 5 days a week, and we had to do breakfast separate from lunch.
Oh my God.
And during that first week, we were having, we were doing staff meetings in the afternoons, and we had Don Lee from First United Methodist Church lead our meeting one day, and Jeff Williams from First Denton lead our meeting one day just to start to kick us off. And then the next week we had our local elected delegation, Lynn Stuckey, Tam Parker, Jared Patterson, and Jane Nelson that came on at the very beginning. And one of the things we talked about was our meal distribution, and very early in the meeting. And as a result of that, we were able to get in touch with the Department of Agriculture and be able to bundle our meals together and put them into bundles where folks wouldn't have to get out less and could just get out, one time a week or twice a week. So we went to meal pickup once a day for breakfast and lunch. We got that changed over. That was some statutory requirements. We had really been a good move. And just like anything else, the first week we did it, there was more need than we had food, and we pretty much bundled up all the food we had. And now yesterday we were able to get our hands on some more, and so it was over 80,000 meals this Wednesday, the 22nd of April.
So what does it look like after the school year? After this, when school year is really over with, what's it going to look like going into the summer? Are y'all going to be done with that then? Or are you going to continue on and extend it for a little while?
So what we worked on was whenever we went on the delay and the schools were closed for COVID, we moved into our summer meal program that we partner with our local municipalities. And what we do with that is we were able to continue in the summer and work through some of these things. Like with the city of Denton, we use some of their sites for summer distribution. So we're still working through some of those details now. Okay. But it was our same model we had used prior in prior years in the summertime to feed our children. And so we just kind of added an exponent to that and multiplied that work that we've been doing and using that process. And we look to continue that into the summer. We'll see what that looks like in the coming weeks. So,
is there any one thing that you're lacking in that you need help with?
I think it's more just communication and getting the word to our families. I think we're to the point now where most people who need it are taking advantage of it. Our biggest issue is going to be with job loss and people out of work and unemployment rising. We're probably going to start seeing a larger need in our community. And of course, as the school, we are probably one of the first groups that sees that with our students. And if we're not going to be seeing them every day, then that opportunity to observe what's going on into our community is not there. So we're just going to continue to monitor that and see what that looks like. And if any of our folks see people who might need assistance, then they can always direct them to the websites at the school district and have some resources there to help walk them through. I mean, we have some really prideful individuals in our community who really don't want to ask for help, but that's really what it's there for. And frankly, it contributes to the commerce of our community whenever we can move those commodities through the school system to people who need them. And allows our cafeteria workers to come to work, and our transportation workers if we need to transport meals. And so there's an actual economic benefit to some of those things as well. In addition to getting resources to the people that need them most.
Yeah. Has this opened up a new supply or source for you guys for food? I know you talked about the local farmers or the local businesses here, but what has that done?
So we have some pretty big commodity contracts that we issue pretty far in advance. I mean, our menus are planned at school, way in advance whenever we know things are going to come online from a commodity standpoint. Okay. But what has happened is with our local restaurants not needing or not being able to take advantage of some of the things that they actually used in years past. Yeah. Cisco and the Black Foods and some of these individuals that provide food to these to the restaurants in our area. Now we're able to forge some partnerships with them and actually put that food out to people who need it. To give you an example, I think it was week 3, maybe week 4, week 4. They kind of run together now. One of the providers contacted us and they had avocados, tomatoes, and onions. Well, it's not like we can put avocados, tomatoes, and onions in a school lunch, but we can bundle them in a bag with a little recipe to make salsa or guacamole for our family. Sure. So that's what we did.
Yeah, that's awesome, right? Hey, we'll take
everybody
that fresh avocado salsa. Yes, sir. Bring on the chips. Let's get going, right?
That's right.
Okay, so can you give me an update as far as what you know now about graduation? Are we ever going to see our seniors walk across any kind of platform, you think, this year? And have y'all, made arrangements for what that could be?
So graduation becomes a continuously moving target for us, because in the school system, we definitely have lots of things that are important for all of our grade levels moving up. But the only group of students we're not going to see again are our seniors.
Yeah.
And they're the ones who this time of the year we're having our scholarship presentations, we're doing our educators of influence recognitions, and then of course graduation. They've missed out on prom. Now, fortunately for them in Denton, we have a junior senior prom. So some of them may have been able to go to the prom as juniors, but some of them may have been waiting until they were seniors. And so, those activities are things that we all remember growing up. And while in a pandemic, they seem small to some of us, they're really a major thing to our seniors. So graduation has been one of the things that we are working diligently to try to make sure we do something for them. The way that the governor's order and the county's order is now, which those are perfect in alignment, and our county has done a really good job of working with the county school districts. There's not a way for us to, in May, or right now in May, to bring large gatherings of people together. So we've rescheduled our graduations until later in June, and we've settled up on some dates. But I will tell you that could change if we come up with something that might be better. It's pretty nimble, and so while we have some dates reserved in June to make up for the dates we canceled in May, we theoretically could do something a little different in the event that we come up with a situation that allows people to get together in a safe manner. Everybody saw and everybody circulated on social media the last couple of weeks the graduation at Air Force Academy, where the graduates were sitting in every 8 feet, these 8 feet squares in this grid. Right. They're just sitting there doing their graduation, and everybody said, well, maybe you guys could do something like that. And I'm saying, well, I'm sure we could, but those are probably the most disciplined people on the planet that are sitting there during their graduation ceremony. So for 17 and 18-year-old students who haven't seen each other since the Friday before spring break, we've got to really make sure that we take safety into account. So our first couple of options that we're working through is to use C.H. Collin's Athletic Complex, and to have some guidelines in place about social distancing and masking and those things. And it does create some issues for us with marshaling the restrooms and large groups of people and those kinds of things. So we're trying to figure out if we can say, hey, just come and sit with who you rode with, and make sure you sit 6 feet away from somebody you didn't ride with. Yeah. Something so simple, right? To the next level down, if you have to get a little tighter, to just immediate family, to the next level down where it's just the graduates. Of course, everything will be streamed. No matter what we do, we're going to try to stream everything so that people can actually see what happens and see what we do, and really only have to be there in person if you have to be there in person. Yeah. And if we could stream it, that's probably better for everybody, and especially those in vulnerable populations. So that's what we're working towards. We're in contact with some of our local partners to help us with masks, and so our graduates will, with our partners with Jostens, we'll have masks for our graduates and for our participants. And the days of the high fives and the hugs and all that, whenever we hand out those diploma covers, are over for now. Yeah. And we'll see how we can transition with that. But our team has really worked hard to try to come up with some ideas and come up with some ways to make it special for our kids. And we'll do our very best to do that. And so it's important for our graduates. And frankly, as a school system, the most important thing that we do is prepare our kids for college, career, military, whatever it happens to be. That is the role of the school system, is to get kids ready for that. And
Yes.
and help them be good humans along the way, because that's important to be successful in those things. So
Yeah.
we feel like it's important that we recognize that and work through it. So
Yeah.
we do know the longer we get into summer, the more our kids may get away from us from the standpoint of if they have military enlistments or early academy appointments or
Yeah.
something along those lines. So we're just trying to do the very best we can. And our community's been really supportive of and appreciative of what we're trying to do to help our kids with that.
Yeah, I noticed when my son had graduated in 2018, he went into the Army, but he did a band tour for the summer and then came back. But he had so many friends that as soon as school was over, they had like 2 weeks and they were off to boot camp. So
Right.
yeah, you can probably lose a lot of students that way too. So you got your hands full, brother.
It's
Okay.
So the thing about it is that's what we do is wherever our kids are, we take them from wherever they are to wherever we can get them, and we just work with it, do our best.
Yeah, just do your best on that too.
Sure.
So what precautions and rules are y'all putting in place for the next school year? Have y'all got to been already getting started on that, right?
Sure. So, we're not really understanding what the next school year holds. I can tell you that our team is working on a variety of things in preparation for the next school year. The number one thing we're doing right now is we're trying to make sure that, and we've been doing this since even before spring break, is making sure our cleanliness of our buildings and all those things are taken care of. And then that we ramp up our supplies for taking care of our buildings and keeping things as sanitized as possible. We don't even have to wait until next school year probably for some of these things, because when our students left the Friday before spring break, nobody knew that was the last time we would see them face to face. So in our buildings now, we have some student property that we need to work through a situation to get back to them. Our teachers have things in their classrooms.
Yeah.
Our teachers need to finish out this year academically with our students, and some of them are going up to their rooms and getting supplies and materials. And at the same time, we're one of the few organizations that completely shuts down and completely starts up again every summer, right?
Yeah. Right.
And so while we're kind of tapering down on this school year, our teachers are not only working for remote online instruction, but they're getting their rooms ready for the summer, which could mean painting or new flooring or new furniture or any of those things. So that's the work that we have going on now. So with that work going on now, we're already putting some parameters in place and posting some signs on our doors. The executive order allowed for our teachers to go into the buildings and do some of their work and be a part of that is essential. But the other part of it is all these students and their personal property in our buildings and in athletic lockers and band instruments and things like that our students have, that we've got to mitigate how we get personal student property back to our students, and then how we get district property back from them over the next 7 weeks. So that's the immediate pieces. So we're putting some things in place about masking up, maintaining social distancing, continually washing your hands. A teacher's classroom is anywhere from 800 to 1,000 square feet.
Yeah.
And some of them are a little bigger for science labs, but opens back up a little bit. So at the same time, we're all human, and we really haven't had any interaction besides with our family since the Friday before spring break. So there's that whole get back together piece that we have to work through. And when it comes to the fall, I think everybody will notice some distinct differences about what we're doing and how things are working. And we're going to be prepared for whatever happens in the fall, be it online instruction remotely, be it we start back and have to go back to online remote, or be it that we're in brick and mortar. I firmly believe that even when we go back to brick and mortar, there's going to be a segment of our community that may not want their student to go back to brick and mortar, especially if they're in a vulnerable group. Completely understandable. So we'll have some plans in place to help those families make some decisions on what best meets their needs. And so there's a lot to consider and a lot to do But one of the main roles I think of the school is to demonstrate and show how we can safely navigate circumstances such as this. So,
Yes, sir.
so you'll see our folks with their masks, their social distancing, continuously washing their hands, hand sanitizers, and begin moving in that direction. And our kids are pretty resilient and they figure it out pretty quick. We also know that our kids are probably the least vulnerable group unless they're in that vulnerable population with some lung issues or some of those things with asthma and whatnot. But they can carry it home with them, and we don't want them to carry anything home with their parents, to their parents or grandparents or anybody else that can be vulnerable. So we're just working through it, doing it the very best that we can, and know that we'll get it all taken care of, and we'll get them all caught up at some point. And I frankly, I just don't. I think a lot of our parents are not going to feel as much at ease as they would like to until we have a vaccine, and we know that that's some time away. So until that time, it's going to be pretty restrictive how we handle our business and how we interact and what we do. And we have the smartest doctors and the best researchers in the world in the United States. So I'm confident that our medical personnel, medical officials will expedite some kind of vaccine and some kinds of treatment as we move forward, and seeing how this thing all goes together.
Right. Okay. So tell me about what's going on with new builds. I can almost see from my house the crane over working diligently over off Bonnie Bray area and on the east side of 35. And here are some other things that are going on. So can you give us an update of what new builds are going on and what you're seeing coming to fruition?
All right. So as part of the 2018 bond program, we had numerous projects going on around the district. So probably the big ones that most people see are the relocation and rebuild of Denton High School. They're continuing to work through that, and it's gone vertical, and you can see the different wings coming together, and on our website you'll see some drone footage of that process as it's moved forward. Mm-hmm. If you go east on Windsor from there, you'll quickly get to Strickland Middle School that has an eastern wing that started. That building will not even look like Strickland Middle School when it's completely finished.
Right.
We have a storm shelter added into that building. They have pretty much finished the new wing from an exterior perspective. You can see them working on it, but since we're not relocating that building, the students are moving in stages. So what's happening at Strickland right now in the middle of the pandemic is interesting, because we have a group of students who have had their classes in the portables on the west side of the building, who are now going to be moving into the new wing, and some more students moving back into the portables. So we've got some logistics going on at Strickland with regard to that. Yeah. And the same thing at Woodrow Wilson. It is a complete rebuild of Woodrow Wilson to a new design, but they will be moving into that building and during the next school year, and then come back in and demolish the one that's there and redo some parking lots. So it's a very limited site plan, but those things are working and moving forward. And then we have numerous other smaller projects. I say they're smaller, but they're HVACs and rooftops and upgrades to different campuses across the system. We already had the security upgrades that took place last summer. Those were the first things out. And we're in the middle of planning right now for middle school number 9, the next elementary in Sandbrook, and then working through some savings that we've had in construction and some interest that we were earning prior to the pandemic to add on to Braswell High School without having to ask our voters to come back out and approve more debt for that, but to be able to do it within what we already had, and with the growth out in the eastern section of the district. So you can tell it's on the east side, it's on the west side. In the middle of that, we have also secured property for ag science facility, and our ag teachers have started working through that now, and it already had some improvements on it with regard to some barns and those things. So we're incorporating all that in together as part of the 2018 bond referendum to upgrade our ag programs. And also looking at transportation facility, and have been looking at property and working through those pieces. So that's 8 or 10 things right now that are continuing to go on as we work through the pandemic.
That's a lot of stuff going on. When we know when we know more about the Hunter Cole Ranch area coming up, in the next few years, breaking ground and getting started with that. Have you looked at for the future, have y'all discussed or have something already in plans for how many schools could be out there?
So we were at the table with the city of Denton and both the Parole and Stratford groups on the Hunter Cole development from the onset. And so we've already got high school, a couple of middle schools, and 5 to 6 elementaries planned in that community over the build out time.
Yeah.
So that's all ready to move forward as the houses come and as the development fills out. There's a couple of different school district lines that are part of that development. So we've been in touch with Ponder ISD to look and see where we might need to make some adjustments so that we don't split neighborhoods down the middle or houses down the middle, and one part of the house being Ponder and one part being Denton. So
right.
As that gets closer, we'll do some things that make sense in our greater community with Mr. Yeager and the Ponder group.
Okay.
And see exactly what that might look like in the future.
Okay.
We have Robeson that's still continuing to thrive in that section, and it is a huge asset to our school district with volunteers and with people that are really trying to connect themselves with their grandkids in Denton,
right.
And just other families. So we really are excited about what's going to happen out there west of 35.
Yeah. Is Braswell High School full? Is it full now, or is it close to it?
It is just about it. It's at its functional capacity. It's not at its maximum capacity.
Right.
The two differences there, meaning that, maximum capacity means that you're using every classroom every period of every day and may have a portable or two. So we're not to that point, and we're trying to stay ahead of it. And we've really worked hard at some sealed proposals and different things with our construction projects and our construction managers. So we're going to add in the third gym, add in an academic wing, which is about 40 classrooms, and then begin working on the Carrico Athletic Complex. And the Carrico Athletic Complex, of course, is part of the 18 bond, but the other pieces, we're trying to do that with savings and interest earnings and save our taxpayers some dollars on that.
Right. Well, I remember, us doing a video out there when they were under construction a couple of years ago. And, then I think, the number was around 1,200 coming in or something like that. And then the next year being in the 2,000 something range. Do you know what that range is right now? Are you at that 2,400?
Oh, we're right at the 2,400 and a little over.
Okay.
For next year. And what we're planning on doing is this academic wing will take it to a functional capacity of up over 3,000. Okay. And that'll which was what the cafeteria, the library, and the common spaces were planned for that originally, knowing we could come back later and do some of the other parts. Excuse me. So the functional capacity and that was planned for about 3,000 in those common core areas. We knew we could come back later and do that.
Yeah.
And so we were thinking that might have to be in a future bond referendum. But since we were able to save some dollars here and there, we think we can do that without having to go back and issue additional debt to do that. So
okay. All right.
Looking forward to making that happen for our families in that section of the district.
I bet. Do you see that kind of numbers starting out the same way with the next high school? Will it be that way too?
It probably will. We'll probably build the core capacities and then plan for and have it to be as flexible as possible and handle the growth as it comes, rather than overbuilding. Because you guys know in real estate that as whatever you build and move into, people will spread out into. So
Yeah.
you've got to kind of make sure that you build it. In addition, I think it's important to think about, at least have it on your list to consider, how much brick and mortar instruction might happen in high schools in the future, and do they need as many physical spaces as remote learning or online learning may dictate. There might need to be some other things that we consider as we start working about instructional delivery and where that ends up. And so, starting and phasing allows you to make some of those decisions along the way as the instructional delivery might change into something different.
Right. Okay. Well, let's wrap this up and land this plane. So what is the best way for us as the public, as parents, and as business people to go and get information about upcoming events, updates to what's going on with the school district? Is the website the best way to do that? Are y'all updating that almost daily now?
So we have a web manager that updates that website more often than daily, probably. But you will have some things there about growth. There's a place in there for School Finder. Whenever new families come into the community, where you can just go in and click on enter the address of the home, and it will tell you the elementary, middle, and high school that serves that home. And our growth reports that we do quarterly, we upload those as well, so you can see where the new housing is hot in our area. As if you all don't really already know that, but it shows you where our hot spots are and where we're getting new students. Up until the Friday before spring break, we had added about 200 students since the start of the school year just at Rodriguez Middle School.
Wow. Okay.
So that area that did reports that are on the website. So the website's your best tool. We also have a big presence on social media with, of course, Facebook and Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Yeah. So we will constantly be putting information there that will steer you back to our website.
Okay.
But I would think for a lot of our folks in our community that are coming in new, the School Finder piece is big, as well as the data for the schools and all that's there. So there's a lot of information there. All right. But it's easily navigated, and you can get to what you need.
Okay. Well, we'll point everybody to that from this video too, so they'll know how to get there. I just want to say thank you, sir. I appreciate you so much for being on today. God bless you and your family. I pray a hedge of protection around you and your family and your health and your home. And we're here behind you to support you guys in any way we can. We appreciate all the hard work that you and your teachers do and your faculty do each and every day. And God bless you all. Thanks for being on today.
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate you guys having me.
Yes, sir.